What's up, everybody? Rob Ferretti here. Welcome to podcast number one.
Should we be number one?
The relaunch.
It's sort of the relaunch.
Number one.
So let me tell you first. Let me introduce who's here. We've got Glenn DiGiacomo, and we downgraded Elizabeth White to Jimbo.
Thanks,
So
Rob.
Jimbo will be joining us tonight with his new mohawk. That's a new hairstyle that he's sporting today.
The hell, why not? Someone paid me $250.
Now, Jimbo,
So.
would you get $10,000 for that? How much did you get for that?
I said $250 just a
$250.
second ago.
$250 on one of my live streams, and
Yeah.
somebody dropped it. Jimbo chopped it.
Rob, you didn't
Simple
match
as
it?
that.
Give him at least $500 for it?
No, why would I do that? So everybody's got a price, so don't pretend like you don't. But anyway, we're now relaunching the podcast. We've been doing it specifically and just lazily. We've been putting it just on YouTube for a minute, but we haven't done one really this year. I mean, we
No, the
sort
last
of
one we
weaned
did
out,
was
and
the end of December, just before New Year's.
yeah, so we weaned out at the end of last year and stopped podcasting for a minute. But we're back,
Yeah.
and I've got news for you. We're back with a vengeance because we're going to be doing podcasts now every single week. That's 4 podcasts a month. That's mainly because none of us have lives, and we can do
I don't
that.
have a job, right?
Yeah, Glenn doesn't have a job. So if anyone is looking for
Glenn's Car
do you?
Collection. Go to the YouTube channel, Glenn's Car Collection.
Yeah.
and I'm open to sponsors. Or
Yeah, check out Glenn's Car Collection, or if you're looking to hire, he makes a mean cup of coffee.
There you go.
So he's got that going for him.
I can't make a cup of coffee.
We can't make cup of coffee. How do you do that?
Well, I put the little thing in it, like the Keurig thing in the water. Does that count?
Yeah, I mean, it's
All
still
right,
making a
that
cup of coffee. I mean, this guy is like it takes him 2 minutes to make minute rice. It's
I'm
just
all,
like
I'm all about lap times and driving fast cars with manual
if you
transmissions.
need a professional driver to lap your shit, you got Glenn DiGiacomo here on the Super Speeders podcast every week. And just to point out, it's going to be on the Super Speeders podcast YouTube channel. So if you are subscribed to Super Speeders Rob, I will be putting the podcast on the Super Speeders podcast channel. So you will have to subscribe to that if you want updates and obviously to be kept up to date as to the podcast. It will also be going live on Shout Engine, which will then populate on iTunes as well.
Are you implying that this first episode we're just going to put on the Super Speeders Rob YouTube channel? Or
We may do both. Who knows?
let's just for the first one, let's just put it on the main channel. That
We
way
will.
everyone
We'll
sees
put it on the main channel so everybody sees it. But I'm mentioning it on the main channel anyway, so it could just be
Sure.
on the Super Speeders podcast channel, and then people will know to go there. My Super Speeders podcast channel, I haven't really used it. I just started putting the videos on the Super Speeders Rob channel, and I was actually affected by Admageddon, which was where YouTube stopped monetizing channels that had under 1,000 subscribers
Oh, right, yeah.
and under a certain number of minutes of watch time. That channel got demonetized.
Oh, really?
So we're going to kick it back up with podcast number 1. This channel will be monetized yet again.
Get it back in
But
gear.
we'll kick it back up in gear. But look, we're going to do a weekly podcast now. So something for you guys to tune into. Now, since it's going to be weekly, it'll be posted the same time each and every week. That you don't have to worry about, I don't know, like the randomness that we used to have.
Yeah. Well, if they hit the notification bell, right? they'll
Yeah,
be on.
no, but like you'll know, the notification bell is always a winner on YouTube.
That's a
but-
big deal too. You know, nowadays YouTube they made it so if you don't hit that notification bell, you basically have, unless you're consistently searching for it, you have no chance of seeing it. So
Yeah.
you really do have to hit the notification bell.
So also you'll know that we've done our previous YouTube podcasts live on YouTube, and these will no longer be live. These will be live to tape, which is industry term for it's live, but we're taping it to air at a later date. So we are doing this one take live, all of that stuff, but it is pre-recorded. So by the time you hear it, it'll be relevant. We may do it the morning of, we may do it the day of, we may do it the day before, 2 days before if we have a travel schedule. It just allows us to deliver it frequently and as frequently as once a week and consistently without skipping a beat. Now, how does that affect you? Now you no longer have the ability to ask us questions and distract us while we're doing our podcast. So if you'd like to do that, there's only one way, and that is to click the link in the description and check out the Super Speeders Patreon. And the Patreon people have a direct line into the podcast. And when I say a direct line, an actual phone number that I set up for each podcast that is live while we're doing the podcast. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you're more than welcome to drop them, and we'll take care of it. We get to it. So we'll get to the Patreon in a minute, but that's going to be the only way to get questions onto the podcast if I don't post up a question on Facebook or Instagram as to anything that people want to know. So you'll notice, obviously, Elizabeth White not here.
Yeah. Elizabeth White looks a tad bit different.
Why?
Just a little bit.
Oh, are you saying you are Elizabeth White?
I mean, we kind of established that a little bit earlier. I'm in place of her, so. I mean.
Yeah, so, yeah. So Jimbo is in
Elizabeth
place.
is probably with Brian.
I'm Elizabeth White tonight. Fuck it.
Remember we lost Brian originally, like 2 years ago in the
Oh,
podcast?
Brian in the
Remember
bathroom.
Brian
No,
was
he's
in the
still in the bathroom. Brian's always in the bathroom.
Brian's in the
Is
bathroom.
Elizabeth like, in the ladies' room?
No, Elizabeth's not in the ladies' room. Elizabeth is MIA as far as I am concerned. And I say MIA, not talking about Miami. Elizabeth has ghosted the world. Ghosted.
She gone.
Numbers, email addresses, Facebook accounts, blah, blah, blah. You'll still see her It's White Noise Instagram account, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she is posting anything on it. Other people are doing so for her. So if you see Elizabeth White in person, send me a photo or video with proof of date so I can verify life.
Like a newspaper or...
Like a newspaper, an iPhone, like if there's a space shuttle launching behind her, or if you're at
watching this podcast,
or if you're at an event, just so we know she's alive, and we'll take it from there. So so that's why she's not here.
Interesting story.
Interesting story. I last time I heard from Elizabeth was like January 20th, and now we're going into April. Yeah, April 1st is coming up.
April 1st is tomorrow.
It'll be
April 1st is tomorrow. So that's a hot minute. Elizabeth has disappeared from the world. A lot of people have been like, yo, where's Elizabeth? And I don't have an answer for them. So if you see Elizabeth White, you let us know. We'll put her on milk cartons. We'll do all that fun stuff too.
She had told me she bought me a Christmas present last podcast, and I still good thing I didn't get her a Christmas present, I guess.
Sure. Glenn, always looking out for himself. Oh, good thing I didn't get her a Christmas present if she's missing. I guess I can go return that before the policy.
I got you a Christmas present. Okay.
So, speaking of, the last time I spoke to her was when she was supposed to be flying in from Mexico. She's now married now. She went to Mexico to research wedding venues and got married while she was there. But that's aside from the point. Yes. So, moving on from Elizabeth, the Project Car Challenge was the event that we were at in Florida, and this was the second Project Car Challenge. I'm sure we mentioned the other one on previous podcasts, but we did something called the Project Car Challenge, which I hinted at, I don't know, probably 16 months ago, and it was designed to get cars like Rob Dom's, Matt Farah's, David Patterson's, myself, cars that were well known, together to battle it out. And I was using that sort of as a carrot to try to get Rob to finish his never-ending four-rotor project in time for SEMA last year. But to my knowledge, that car is still not remotely close to being complete.
Didn't you have a $10,000 bet with him?
I did have a $10,000 bet, but obviously I was not going to collect on that as a gentleman. I wasn't looking to if he can't afford to finish his car. It's not about the money. I don't really care about the racing for money or anything like that. It was sort of an incentive to try to get him to get his car whipped up and get running, because a lot of people were looking forward to seeing that. But to this date, it has still not happened. But maybe I'll tell you it happened tomorrow because it's April Fool's Day. And
April Fools.
But anyway, so we had that race that we did in October, and then the one that spawned off of that, because a lot of people were upset that some people weren't invited, I held in January, and that took place. The first one was in Las Vegas with just the 5 of us. The second one took place in Florida in January, and that was at the Wanna Go Fast half-mile event, then Daytona International Speedway, and then Sebring. And the goal there was to find the best tuner car and the best project car from a YouTuber, and we're going to send the 2 winning cars that were the most sorted over to the Nürburgring to lay down some hot laps and see what they could put down. So that's going to take place in October of this year. If you haven't checked out those videos, make sure to check out those videos. They're pretty badass. Jimbo will put a link in the description of this video to those.
Of course I will.
And
Pride and joy right there.
yeah, those were good. Some good videos. All the project car stuff was good. But we had a great time. Cletus McFarland, Adam LZ,
Cool car.
David Patterson, myself, DeBoss Garage. Tommy didn't have a car, but one of his fans lent him a car.
Because the R32 got an accident.
Correct.
I was with him when that got in an accident.
We have Boosted Boys. We had Vehicle Virgins. We had even JR Garage stopped in without a car to say what's up. And we had Drag Times, Brooks from Drag Times out there. So we had a good group of things. And did I miss anyone?
Not that I can think of.
I feel like I got everybody.
You got anybody else we're missing. I mean, you guys were, we're glad you were here.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to the next one we do.
And that was open to 10,000 subscribers or more of those people, right?
That was open. No, that was open to anyone with. 10,000 subscribers
I only
or more.
had 5,000 subscribers. So
You weren't going to enter a car anyway.
and
then the tuners, we had a lot of backouts last minute on the tuner end, but we had LG Motorsports versus Hyperfast Cars or Hypercar Development out of North Carolina. LG Motorsports is out of Anna, Texas. And check out the videos, but LG won. And
it was a nice car, the 335, right?
No, Adam LZ,
okay.
won on the YouTuber side.
Right.
Thanks for spoiling it. No big deal. I'm telling the results now anyway.
I saw the videos. They're great videos.
Yeah, Adam LZ won on the YouTuber side and in his modified 335. And Lou Gelati from LG Motorsports won with a modified C7 Z06. And both of those cars are going over to the Nürburgring on October 8th to lay down some unobstructed laps and see what they can do. So
you taking your car there, the Corvette?
I was not planning on it. I'm not going to rule it out if there's like a discounted shipping option and I can save the money shipping a bunch of cars together. But ultimately, it's not. I'm not planning on taking my car, but I wouldn't be against taking my car.
Yeah, I would get a project car if your people get Glenn's car collection 10,000 subscribers. I'll buy a project car.
I would not do that. That would be a very, very bad idea.
I'll
I have a project car. It sucks. I'm getting rid of it. It's terrible.
I'll buy yours.
Yeah, buy my
Win-win.
buy my C5.
If I get 10,000 subscribers, I'll buy it.
There you go.
Well, that moves that car. Thank God.
Yeah.
Get
So
rid of that thing.
Jimbo, leave a link in the description for Glenn's car collection. I'll buy Jimbo's car.
Yeah. Why not?
So yeah, definitely check out the Project Car Challenge videos. A lot of fun. We enjoyed
What kind
it.
of car did Cletus have? That was a pretty.
It
cool
was a
car that he had.
C5.
Oh, is that what it was?
It was
But
just
was
a
all,
gutted
like,
C5.
open?
Yeah, it was just a gutted C5. It was a
Yeah.
salvage car.
So how light was that car?
27?
That's a good question, to
That
be
looked like
honest with you.
Well, it was a Z06, you said?
No, it was just a C5. It's my car without body panel.
Well, I had a C5 Z06. It was like 3,100 pounds. So that has a target top on it, right? So it's probably 33.
I think my car caged and everything currently sits at 3,100 pounds.
There's a video online.
Right, but
about
yours is
it.
a target car. The target cars are like 33 because I had.
No, I think it was 32 from the factory.
Okay.
I stripped a bunch out, but then I threw turbos on it.
Right.
And then
The
added
cage
the roll
adds
cage.
weight.
The cage adds a bunch of weight. But
How much weight do you think that adds?
the cage, probably 200 pounds,
Okay.
at least 250 pounds. Because it's like a steel cage.
Right.
So, I mean, but like ultimately I'll sacrifice the
Yeah.
200 pounds for not
So he
not
got it. You
crunching
think
my car.
Cletus's car was down to like 27?
I think he's actually weighed it in the past. I think it was around 2,700.
Oh wow. Yeah, that looked like a
there's-
sweet car.
There's some video on it. I don't
Yeah.
remember. It has. I'm sure it has over 250,000 views.
So yeah. So my my vet, I feel like it did pretty well, given the competition there. I
Right.
was I want to say top of the pack, and I think I would have done better had my
some
car not
mechanical
had some
issues, right?
just
Yeah.
small issues. And I think part of it's tuning, and not tuning that it's not tuned well, just not tuned for the cold start. It's not like
Right.
it's
Well,
got
probably, was it humid down there?
no, it's got nothing
Oh.
to do with that. But like Justin, or when it got over temperature, I think it went into limp mode. When I spun out, it like fuel starved and went into like retarded mode. So ultimately, I have got to figure out that stuff and address that. But the cooling thing is my biggest issue.
Yeah.
As long as I get the cooling and then the brakes, obviously, Justin locked up the brakes. But the cooling and the brakes are two things that I want to get sorted. And when I get those sorted, that car is going to be very, very difficult to beat. Because in the time that it did run, it was the second fastest car of the weekend, second to LG's car, which is a professional car.
Yeah. Wow.
So, and even Garrett's car with less weight and more horsepower, it was my car was 3 seconds faster than his fastest lap.
Really?
So
Wow.
That car was hilarious, though.
his
Yeah,
car's
wow.
awesome.
I can remember seeing the
I
video.
was actually surprised that it did as well as it did, especially in turns with essentially no downforce.
Right. Yeah.
All they did was, they just changed the tires. They didn't change virtually anything with the suspension. They changed the wheels just so they could have. I think when they changed the wheels, it was so they could fit the brakes still because they had a smaller brake kit. But the fact that they were able to go around a racetrack, be close to your time, and it was set up for that, it's ridiculous. That's a good car. It's a ton of money into it, but it's a great car.
Yeah, I mean it's tons of horsepower. I'm sort of curious as to what like LG's car will do at the Nürburgring.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be great.
The winning cars, because like a stock Z06 ran the Nürburgring with a magazine running it, not even like an official time, was 7:12.
Right.
Stock.
Yeah.
Now you're talking Lou's got an extra like 150 wheel horsepower. He's got it set up to race. We're actually going down to Texas next week to document. He's building a clone car, the same car, but he's building a second one to bring down there. So I'm excited to see how that turns out. Ultimately, like the way I look at it is, well, if he shaves a second on each of the straightaways, he's sub 7 minutes.
Yeah,
I mean, you're talking 12 straightaways, 1 second with an extra 150 horsepower.
That's fast.
Yeah, you're at a 659.
Jeez.
And I look at it, it all makes sense, but I don't know. Lou is actually going down to the Nürburgring on his own because he's been racing for like 42 years.
Oh, yeah.
He'd like to do the
He's a
record
great
by
driver.
himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So ultimately, Lou is going to be the guy who would like to pilot the car, and if obviously the Nürburgring is not. You get the 12 turns down and you got the track.
Right.
It's a long track. It's 13 miles, I think.
Yeah, give or take.
And there's a shit ton of turns. So it's not a track that's easily remembered or learned. And you got to put down, I mean, I'd say thousands, hundreds of laps at least.
Yeah.
He's going for a couple of days to the Nürburgring before we go out. Like in June, he's going out, and I think he's going back out in September. And then obviously when we're there in October, because he wants to learn the track. He's got instructors, renting cars.
Has he ever driven the track? No.
He's never.
Oh, wow.
And he's running sim time on it. He's just trying to be aggressive, and he would like to set the time himself. And I'm rooting for him, and I applaud the effort. And it's something cool. It's definitely worth keeping an eye on. It's definitely something that you want to follow up and keep up with, because it means big things. It means like spending like whatever money, 20 grand to spruce up your factory car and have a dead reliable car that can now run with virtually every hypercar in the world around the Nürburgring, which is one of the toughest tracks.
Yeah.
You have an unbeatable car. I mean, that is a very, very solid car. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. And then LZ's car is going out too. We'll get some professional drivers to go out and whip that around and see what they can do.
Yep.
And I don't know if he'll be able to break 7 minutes, but just to whoop up on the 3:35's factory time by a significant margin will be pretty fun.
Yeah. Now, did Justin Bell drive everybody's car, or some people drove themselves?
Some
right?
people drove themselves. Like Justin didn't want to drive the minivan.
No.
And the minivan lost like third gear and fourth gear eventually, because it's just they're throwing a ton of horsepower. That car was very cool. I like that. That was a fun car to have there. But he drove the boss's car, but got out of that very quickly. But I'm just trying to think. He drove my car. He drove David's car, but David's car picked up a flat shortly after the boss went out. And I'm not going to point fingers, but I think the boss may have shed some parts.
Oh, really?
And David picked one up in his tire.
Maybe. You never know.
There was a lot of laps laid down on that track on the racing line without anyone picking up a screw.
Yeah.
And then the boss got flagged for like parts flapping, like under trays falling off. And then the next thing you know, David's car comes in with a flat.
Yeah, sticky tires pick up everything and they get flat.
Yeah, it sucks. But yeah.
You remember the wrench, right?
The wrench.
The wrench we found. That wasn't in the final cut.
I picked up a wrench. We were shooting intros on the front straight after turn 17. And me and Belle are over there just like ratting to a camera. I'm like, what's that shiny thing on the ground? I go, it's a freaking spanner
Somebody
wrench.
working on the car and left it in?
Yeah, it was a 10 mil. The 10 mil you've been looking for, I found it. It was sitting on the front straight of Sebring. So
Justin was like, "Oh my fucking god!"
Yeah.
British accent. I can't do it. I sound
but
like shit. But it was pretty funny.
Yeah, somebody out there had it sitting somewhere in the car, and it just fell out
on top of the engine somewhere. I had a C4 that track car. I remember once I got like a flat tire from like a stone, literally.
Yeah.
Like driving in the track like on a Hoosier.
Yeah.
You know, any little
It's the worst because they suck up every rock.
Yeah,
even when they're pretty cold, too.
Yeah.
They stick and they just shoot rocks all over the place.
Yeah.
So we have that. So the Project Car Challenge, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed it tremendously, but it cost me some money, and I don't like that. Like, I like producing cool content, but if that cool content ultimately costs me money and much more money than I would make putting the videos online, I've got it. It's not scalable, and part of the stuff I want to do for the YouTube channel this year is make more of that good content. And to do that, I need to figure out a way to fund it because I can't go out and blow money at, like, even if I lose $4,000 or $5,000 a video for shooting the high-end content. If I do that once a month, you're talking $40,000, $50,000 a year just to make some cool videos. And I think the cool videos are awesome, and I like to get them out there. But when I involve other people and collaborate, you start seeing the vloggers put up their video the day of, and I got to edit 5 cameras together. Or Jimbo has to edit 5 cameras together. It takes a week or 2 weeks, and now all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, I saw this 15 different times from 15 different people. Yeah. So it sort of hurts me, but I've got the best quality content out there, which is more than just like daily vlogging. So I got to figure that out. What I came up with was an optional Patreon, which I mentioned earlier in the podcast. And the Patreon, you can check the link in the description. That is essentially to fund the high-end content that I'm going to be producing every month on the channel.
You might want to move that way a little bit. You're kind of slowly moving out of frame, Rob.
There you go. Is that good?
No, you probably want to move your chair a little bit more over this way.
I'm going to stay right here.
Move to your right.
I'm cool. You can see me.
Okay.
I know, but you're okay. Well, you stay there, Rob.
Cool.
You do you, Rob. It's your podcast.
I will. I am going to do me. So ultimately, the Patreon, if you guys want to sign up on that, all your help is appreciated. And that money is not going to me, my vacation fund. That money is not going to anything other than producing that high-end content. That Patreon sparked bankruptcy rumors. It sparked Rob is broke. This is not about being broke. This is not about anything like that. This is simply a business decision. I like making that content, but if that content is going to cost me money, I am not going to make it very frequently. So if you guys want to see it frequently, I am happy to do so, but I do have to fund that with crowdsourcing, and the rest of the world will thank you because everybody enjoys the videos.
Yep, and there's a lot of expenses, right?
They're very well received, but there's
flying, shipping, cameras.
I don't even consider
hotels.
my own personal travel expenses. Like if I ship my car and I run my car, but I'm renting racetracks.
Yeah.
And then staffing the film shoot. So bringing those guys down, paying for them, paying for the per diems, paying for the travel for those guys. Then we have obviously editing time, or we're buying graphics and stuff like that. It all adds up. And the insurance for the tracks. I mean, renting tracks, getting the insurance for them.
Renting a track is really expensive. You know.
Yeah, and I didn't do anything yet to open this stuff to the public, because if I did open to the public, I may have to get security and all sorts of other stuff. and that adds a whole nother level of son of a bitch. So anyway, check out the Patreon if you're interested. You don't have to give us money, but if you feel the need, we would be happy to accept it and make some cool content for you in exchange. So I learned my lesson. We did the GoFundMe to sort of salvage and try to cover a sponsor that bailed on us last minute for the Project Car Challenge. And the GoFundMe, I promised people like posters and hats, and that the fulfillment end sucks. It's really a pain in the ass to send out.
It's awful.
Even like 100 posters. I mean, you had to get boxes. You have to get the posters.
Oh, wow.
You got to get them signed. You got to like package them. You got to label them. And it's just like so much effort. The Patreon doesn't promise stuff like that. There's like I offer people rides in my Corvette or like some of my other cars, direct lines in the podcast, stuff that's digital. Behind the scenes access. Every day I post stuff on the Patreon for the people that have put money into it. And that's the stuff I can provide and do that is easier than packing and shipping stuff. That's a pain in the ass. So I'm going to try to limit. I get everyone's address just in case, like if I get a sponsor and I can be like, yo, sponsor, I want to give these however many people I want to send them stuff. That is something I want to make available, but ultimately I deliver digitally, and I just thank you guys for the money. But like one of the guys that I have in one of the higher tiers came to dinner with us already.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, hey, where are you from? He's like, oh, I'm local, because I wanted the higher tiers. I'm like, well, we'll invite you to the cool events and stuff. If we're doing Adventure Drives events or anything like that, or I've got some cool invites, I'll send them around to the higher end guys. And
sweet.
It's good.
Yeah.
So.
You know, one thing, worth mentioning as well, the fact that we did that whole production on like a shoestring budget. Like it was cheap. Like compared to like normal like production budgets for a lot of stuff. I mean, you got like YouTube Red series that have millions of dollars behind them. Amazon series that have millions of dollars behind them. We did that for, a few $1,000s really. I mean, you've got
On the production side.
Oh yeah, the production
yeah.
side.
No, I mean
like,
part of the production, like you're now cheating a little bit by saying we did the production cheap.
Well, compare to the other things though.
Part of the production budget that you're now referring to with these other episodes is locations, and our locations cost money. So now you're saying
in total it was, around the numbers of like 30 grand.
It was about 30 grand for the weekend.
Yeah, and like Amazon series cost, like millions.
No, I know, but we also didn't cover everyone's travel.
True,
we didn't
like you're right.
Like nobody was paid, our time wasn't covered.
Sure.
So there's a lot.
So figure like we did like 50 grand like total production. 50 grand compared to some of the other shit that's
I get it. Yeah, but $50,000 for a weekend.
Like real content compared to some of the shit that's going on.
I get it. We'll work towards that at some point in time. But anyway, is it time for a break? I feel like it's time for a break.
We're getting there. We are definitely getting there. We got 2 minutes left.
2 minutes. All right. I'm going to call
substance.
No substance. I'm going to call a break right now, guys. This is part of the new format. We're going to take a quick break. We'll break it up. We'll do about an hour and 10, hour 20 on each podcast. But we're going to take a break after about a half hour because Glenn's getting old and he's got to go pee-pee every 30 minutes.
Is there a bathroom here, actually?
Yeah, there is a bathroom here.
We do,
but
we do have a bathroom.
That's not the reason, but
we're
going to take a quick commercial break because these podcasts are brought to you by sponsors, and it's only 2 minutes. So if I can get 2 minutes of your time, I will fill you in 1 second. So we'll be right back. So today's podcast is sponsored by eAuto Warranty. eAuto Warranty, funny story coming up in the podcast, but eAuto Warranty has saved my ass already in the first 3 months that I've had it, and they were a sponsor earlier this year in January. They provide aftermarket warranties for your car so you can drive relatively worry-free. Obviously, minor maintenance stuff that may go wrong, still on you. But if anything major goes wrong, they've got you covered. It's a good, legitimate company, and I have a direct line to the owner. So if anything ever happens or you're unsatisfied with your service or how they're handling your repair, you reach out to me directly, and I assure you I will take care of it. So check out eAutoWarranty.com. In the description of this video, there is a link, and you go over there and just quote it out. There's no commitment. So you want to just find out how much it would cost to get a warranty on your car, you go ahead and do that, and they will take care of you, and you can rest easy. You can buy a car that you may have been previously afraid of buying, or you could just hedge your bets against anything bad or catastrophic happening on your car. And the best possible thing that can happen with a warranty is you don't need it, because that's good. That means your car didn't break, and it cost you, that, for example, my BMW M Roadster, $80 a month. After 3 payments of $80, I was able to, not able, but I had to make a claim. Randomly enough, something broke, and they covered a $2,400 repair. So really saved my ass, and it can save yours too. Also, I would like to thank Sheath Underwear for sponsoring the podcast as well. If you guys have seen my YouTube channel, you know I am a big fan of Sheath Underwear. For the simple fact that Sheath Underwear, the general premise is it separates your balls and your D from your legs. So that reduces sweating, or eliminates sweating for the most part. And it was invented by military dudes that were chilling in the desert a lot. And when I say chilling, I don't mean chilling. I mean it was really hot and sweaty. And you don't just, when that region sweats, you're not having a good time. I'll keep it 100% honest. And the sheath underwear, it takes your balls and your shaft and puts it into a sheath, a little pocket on the front. And one of the best byproducts of that is it makes your D look huge. Like, makes your package look as big as your package can get. And every dude likes that. It's the male equivalent of like Spanx. Like, it's like a little bit of false advertising, but not really, because it's all you. Spanx really just tucks the fat over it. It just like makes it all go away. Not cool. But this is cool. It's great underwear. I wear it every single day, almost every single day, because you know what? Sometimes I don't wear underwear. But when I am wearing underwear, I'm wearing sheath. Check out the link in the description, sheathunderwear.com, and enter the promo code SPEED. The promo code SPEED will save you 25% on your first order. And I assure you, if there is a guarantee in this world, you get that underwear, you're going to enjoy it. And if you don't like it, send it to Glenn. He collects them. Used. That's just what Glenn does. All right, let's get back to the podcast. All right, welcome back, everybody. So just to touch up on some of the recent YouTube videos that I've had, I know there's always questions that linger when I do videos. I did one recently, was a McLaren crash and a Ferrari fire in South Beach. The Ferrari fire I deduced from the location and the type of car that it was a rental car. And I got some photos from some fans who seem to show that car parked when they've previously visited Miami out there. So it's a good chance. Obviously, without seeing the VIN number, I can't guarantee it, but there's a good chance that it was a rental car right there that caught fire randomly like on Collins Avenue in front of the Parisian Hotel. The bigger one was the McLaren 675 that crashed in, or not 675, 650, right? I'm sorry. Yep. Yeah. In Washington, was a rental company called Zodart. But you can look them up. There's no like rental car companies other than them up in Seattle.
Seattle, right? Yeah.
And
it was a short rental too, right?
It was. They have something. It's meant for like dates, and they call it a 4-hour rental. It confused me for the video, because I'm like, who rents a car from 10:30 to 2:30? That's like that's 4 hours.
Yeah.
It's really meant for like going out to dinner with the car. So they charge you for 4 hours, but you get it for the night. So it's one of those things like you can get it anytime after like 6 p.m. and as long as it's back by 10 a.m. the next day.
Oh, okay.
They only charge you for 4 hours. So it's an interesting concept.
Limited mileage, I'm sure, right?
I think you have to pay by the mileage too. So it may be $300 for the overnight, but then you pay $7 a mile or something for everything you drive. So not a terrible play. Not really designed for the people that are going to go out driving a lot. But it is that's the story there. It was wrecked by the customer, who I believe was 20. I didn't pay too close attention.
23, I think.
Something. He was young, but his insurance did take responsibility for it. They just got the car, so they didn't have GPS or anything in it yet. That was all slated to happen, but it was like a brand new car added to the fleet, and that's the relevant details. I don't think there's anything beyond that.
How does that work with insurance? Like, your own insurance follows you renting the car?
So when you rent a car, your insurance is primary. So the rental car company does have insurance as well, but your insurance covers anything that happens to the car while it's out under your rental agreement. So if a valet screws it up. It's on you.
Gotcha. 'Cause
And
you're in
you may
possession
have
of that
recourse
car.
against the valet, but ultimately it's your responsibility to return the car
Right.
in the condition that you got it, or a very similar condition, less normal wear and tear. It's not, you can't shed responsibility. Like even if you're at your car, it hurts and something happens, you can't be like, well, I didn't do that, somebody else did. It's still
Right.
under your rental agreement. So you
Gotcha.
have the responsibility, or whoever signs the rental agreement does have the responsibility to return it without A, crashing it, or B, anything else that would be outside of normal wear and tear.
Right, because I rented that McLaren 12C from you, and I guess I was just on my regular insurance. I'm sure I gave my insurance card.
No, we probably used your black card.
My black card? A black card. Only Rob Ferretti has a black card.
No, I don't have a black card.
don't?
I don't. That's to me, it's not. It's sort of like a social status thing. They charge like $5,000 a year for it. Now, why would I pay $5,000 a year to have a credit card so everyone thinks I'm rich?
You can rent a McLaren for $5,000, less than that.
You can.
$3 grand.
And then look, to be fair, the black card, I do get the merits. They do have some good benefits. People look at you differently when they see you drop your black card, and they credit you back a bunch of stuff. So it's sort of like the benefits offset the cost of the card, et cetera, et cetera. Ultimately, I don't need the status symbol. It's why I don't wear Gucci belts and stuff, because I really don't care if people think I have money, don't think I have money, think I'm bankrupt, think I'm a billionaire. There's always, especially with the internet, there's always those who are reasonably close, and then those who are at the opposite extremes. So, which just means it's very difficult to read somebody's wealth.
Yeah, anybody can look rich. You can have a lot of debt, right?
Yeah,
you can have
absolutely.
10 cars, but you have 10 car payments.
Or, I mean, look at these guys that go out and spend all this money and then they're broke, and then they file for bankruptcy. Like,
Right.
How does that guy file for bankruptcy? Or, like, even Toys R Us. Who knew Toys R Us had billions of dollars in debt?
Yeah,
Like, who would have thought
yeah.
this company that's been around forever was teetering on bankruptcy for so long?
Right, or even professional athletes, right? They're making tens of millions of dollars, and then they go broke or bankrupt. So it's not what you make, it's what you save, right?
Well, I mean, the problem with professional athletes is they go broke or bankrupt because they spend a lot.
Right, that's my
And
point.
their earnings period is only a couple of years.
Right, and that's got to last them the rest of their life.
Correct.
Yeah.
So they have to invest it more wisely. I mean, and they're like anyone else. I mean, they may have carried debt prior to their big contracts. Ultimately, some of them are smart, and they do very well financially. But I mean, there's rappers. There's I mean, you name people that you recognize from probably the 90s, like Skee-Lo or Montel Jordan.
MC Hammer, right?
No, like MC Hammer.
Yeah, if
but
you have a big entourage, it costs money.
Vanilla Ice. I mean, they're doing other stuff.
Yeah, you know Vanilla Ice had an NSX?
Did he? I
did,
didn't know that.
yeah.
No, I know he's got his
In
home
his heyday,
show.
he had like a new NSX or whatever.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he's got his home show now. So he's like renovating houses. Why is a rapper renovating houses? Well, because he needs to make money.
Yeah.
So it's you can't just assume that somebody made a lot of money. Oh yeah, dude, he had a $10 million contract. That guy's set for life. That's like saying if I give you $1 million that you can retire tomorrow.
Yeah.
And well, no, but like not you, but
Yeah.
like other people. Like, oh yeah, you won $1 million in the lottery, dude. You're set for life because they were making $20,000 a year. Now, next thing you know, you got $1 million. You're like, I can go buy a $200,000 car. I can go do this, and then the money just goes.
Right. If you keep living on $20,000, the money will last you forever. But if
Correct, but nobody does that. You
Right.
adapt to your bank account,
Yep.
and ultimately you outspend your bank account. Then you run out of money, and then you're back to just being you.
Yep. I'd spend it on cars, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I mean, if that's not the worst expenditure, because if you buy cars properly, like you do,
Yeah, buy a used car,
yeah,
right, exactly.
you don't really suffer the depreciation hit. So it would just be if the maintenance really beat you up, and if you didn't have any other sources of income.
Right.
So
I try to do that. I try to keep my net worth the same. So if I get a car, try to, you're going to lose a little bit of money, obviously. Sorry about that. But, try to buy towards the end of the depreciation curve, right? The car's brand new, it's 100,000.
Yep.
Maybe used, you can get it for 40,000.
Yep.
And what's going to go down? 30 maybe?
I
But
get
you
it.
lost 10 instead
Yep.
of 70 or 100,000,
yeah,
Like Jimbo's V12 twin turbo S-Class, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I never bought that. Thank God. I mean, I own a previous generation, the W140, which is like a '99. Those are pretty reliable.
What was that
I mean,
car new?
New? It was 77,000.
Probably without options, though, right?
No, that's like fully loaded.
fully
it's
loaded?
only
Okay.
a 6-cylinder. So it's not. I didn't buy it.
Oh, so was
I
it
didn't.
320 or something?
Yeah, the S320. Yeah, but that car was 77 new. Now you can buy one with about 150,000 miles for about $2,000, $1,500, which is pretty. It's pretty funny.
97% depreciation.
Like, I mean, that's pretty good if you ask me.
You need one of those warranties.
Yeah,
that's an extreme example.
And oddly enough, I know e-auto warranty actually I think will cover 99. I don't know what the cutoff is. It's like 95 or something. Right. But 99 they would cover. I haven't bought it yet, but it's on the list of things to spend my money on. But you never know. But it's a great car. I absolutely love it.
Even like an M6, say that you drove an adventure drives, Rob, like brand new, it's like 120,000. Say a 4-year-old M6 is probably 60,000.
Oh no, they've dropped like bricks.
Yeah, maybe 50,000, right? So it's better to buy the M6 at 50 or 60,000 than 120, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
But then you're driving a used car.
It's fine with me.
That's like shopping through ex-wives for a girlfriend. I mean, it just.
The best car to buy used, I would say, is a 911 because the average person doesn't know what year your 911 is.
Yeah, true.
Whether it's
that cars look the same,
or a 993 or 997.
You can tell them it's a prototype, and
you
nobody
can get a
would know.
996 for $20,000, and your neighbors will think you have an $80,000 car.
Yep. So speaking of crash cars, because we were talking about crash cars a second ago before we sidetrack. But I guess that's what the podcast is digressions. Excuse me. They had the self-driving crash in Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
Which is tough. Now, self-driving cars are something I want to talk about because self-driving cars are, like, you get people that are so outraged. I can't believe there was somebody that died from a self-driving car. Can't believe a self-driving car was in an accident. People-driven cars are in accidents every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's... I would be much more comfortable with a lot more self-driving cars on the road. And maybe the technology is still sort of in its infancy.
Mm-hmm.
However, I would take a self-driving car over somebody texting and driving.
Sure.
I would take a self-driving car over somebody who's intoxicated. I would take a self-driving car over an old person driving.
Mm-hmm.
I would take a self-driving car over Jimbo driving.
Thanks.
I haven't seen Jimbo drive, I don't think. No, you haven't. You were driving, yeah. I haven't seen Jimbo drive.
But no, I mean, ultimately, there are 15 different, like, if you're tired, I'd rather put my car in self-driving mode. Like, I wouldn't want to, when you drive tired, you open the windows, you turn the radio up, you drink some caffeine.
Yep.
But it's not really like but you catch yourself. Yeah, you're shot. And I think a self-driving car would be a much better option there.
Yeah.
It would keep traffic more orderly for the most part. And I'm not saying all cars, but most cars.
I'm glad you keep Jimbo from driving, so that's good for society, right?
Yep.
But
I can't get a break here. But like I have had some.
You got to pick on somebody, right?
Well, sure. But I mean, I've had some close calls. Right? Not gonna lie, I've had some close calls. So.
Yeah. One thing I heard about that story, and if you look up that story, a lot of versions you won't see that. Supposedly there was a backup driver in there.
There was a backup driver in the car.
So what's the story with that? Was he paying attention?
It doesn't matter. We looked away for a second, but still. I don't think a backup driver would have avoided it. If you watch the video, because there is the dash cam video, and by the way, everybody should get a dash cam. Vava dash cams. Check the link in the description.
What do you do if you have 8 cars? You still get dash cam on every car?
Yeah, I have a lot of dash cams. But the woman seems to come out of nowhere. It's like she's walking in the shadows.
She was pushing her bike, right?
She was walking with her bike next to her, but like
she looked like a ghost.
Even
5-lane highway, right?
Yeah, it's 4-lane, whatever it was. She was jaywalking, but that's outside of the. It doesn't really matter. But ultimately, she was like in the shadows when she could have been walking in the light. She could you have a responsibility if you're walking at night when it's dark to make yourself visible. She did not take any steps to make herself visible. And I'm not going to say that 9 out of 10 humans wouldn't have had the same outcome there.
Was it at night?
It was at night.
Oh, was it?
And now you could say the road could have been better lit, blah, blah, blah. Like you could go to 100 different things. But I can't really point the finger at the AI here and say that every human would have avoided that. I can't believe it's it just steered its way through a crowd of people, like a Mustang.
Leaving cars.
Self-driving Mustangs, where they have to hit people.
There you go.
Leaving cars and coffee? You mean like that?
Yeah, but leaving cars and coffee, it's got to get you sideways. I mean, I think self-driving cars are really a good thing, and
I think it's a good thing. I just think it's going to be a long time before we see it. I think there's a lot of.
But I don't think that should be the case. I think
I wouldn't even say that.
There is a risk in traveling on the road, and I think that risk is lesser when you have more self-driving cars versus fewer.
Well, if your car did something, like what happened here, or something, who gets sued? I mean, nobody should.
Well,
get
I
sued,
mean, but like people always get sued, but that's irrelevant.
They're going to sue the person who owns the car.
You're still talking. I don't know. I just think statistically, I think you have a better shot with self-driving cars. You can't expect a self-driving car to be perfect.
Right.
You have to expect some margin of error, but you have to sort of take responsibility and be like, look, if it's an anomaly situation, the car may miss it, but that's what happens when we rely on technology. I mean, technology fails. Like, you walk under a scaffolding, it may fall. Like, there are cranes that fall over, and people get, like, it's just a different type of technology, but technology fails all the time, and people die. And now, since cars are involved, it's like, oh my God, 2 people died or a person died. And next thing you know, we got to write off the technology. And that's not necessarily the case. You'd have to look at how many millions of miles were driven versus how many fatalities, and draw conclusions from there.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably safer because you don't have the distracted drivers.
I mean, like,
or drunk drivers.
Honestly,
it'd be good for people, who want to go out, drink, and have a good time. They can have a
self-driving
car.
That's a lot of people. Every Friday, Saturday night, do you know how many people go out drinking and then drive home?
When I come home from hockey at night, I swear everybody's on especially like a Thursday night. Everybody's drunk.
Oh, you see them at 2, 3 in the morning all over the road. Yep.
Everybody on the road is drunk, but the people who just played hockey.
Yep.
Probably half of them are drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'll definitely say with the self-driving stuff, it scares me when I see it, in the city, or I see those videos of the cars just driving themselves around autonomously.
Yeah.
That's scary. But the thing that I do like about the self-driving that we actually have now, I don't know when it's coming or if the car is new and it's out. At one point, I saw a Cadillac ad where this guy is like, oh, the Cadillac's new self-driving system on the highway, like hands-free system. And I first saw that, and I was enraged. I was like, this is so stupid. Why are we promoting this? Like, this is so dumb, because now you're telling people, don't even hold on to the car. Don't even touch the wheel. Don't do anything. Just sit back, relax. I think he was drinking like a Sprite or something. I don't know what the hell he was drinking. But just sit back, drink a Sprite, whatever. And it didn't dawn on me until Rob mentioned. He's like, yeah, well, you could sleep there. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. That's great. Like, that'd be fantastic, especially on the highway. If you're driving at 3 a.m, there's nobody else on the road, but you're trying to make up time. Do you know how much time I would save in my life if I was just like, oh, I need to get home. I'm going to hop on 95. I'm going to hop on. Yeah, I'm just going to hop on 95 and just sleep. That'd be fantastic. Especially if you have a newer car, new suspension, new brakes, everything, nice cushy interior with heated seats, like, it's a good deal. So I could get down with it.
Rob, it's kind of hard to take him seriously with that haircut, right?
I mean, I don't take him seriously to begin with, but that haircut, I think he wears that haircut well. And
guy with that haircut should have a self-driving car.
Well, the reason
why not?
The reason behind that haircut was our live stream on Friday. Somebody said like Jimbo put a price, $250. He'd do a mohawk.
Wow.
And
it has been done.
But why'd you say 250? You should say like 25.
Well, it started with.
Look, what are you gonna say? Like, why is everyone?
I'd say 10,000.
Yeah, but why you 10,000? I'm gonna shave your head in your sleep, and it costs you nothing.
It started with the bald head though. Someone's like, "Go bald for $500."
Bick it, yeah.
And I was like, "Fuck no, I'm not." But at first, no, I considered, but I was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna bitch out. Like $500, that's not enough, because that's gonna look bad for a couple weeks anyway, because I have fast growing hair.
Yeah.
But then I was like, you know what? I'll do a mohawk for $250. And then for like 5 minutes, nothing happened. Then all of a sudden, we saw a donation that said,
"Oh, really?
Jimbo mohawk,
$250.
$250." And you're like, well, fuck all.
So you think a mohawk at $250 is better than bald at $500?
Yeah, no, okay. I don't think I look too.
But a lot of
bad
people
if
are bald.
I
Bald
don't say
could
so
be
Yeah, you could rock bald too.
Yeah,
I mean,
bald,
either
I would
way.
say,
I was saying my number would probably be higher, if I had to do it for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was shaving my head, I would more likely shave my head for free if there was a reason behind it, and if people were throwing money
charity
at me
or something,
I dump it towards a charity or something like that. Shave my eyebrows, shave my hair for somebody I know who's going through chemo, to make that easier. But I don't know, it's like I wouldn't shave my head for $500. It would probably be like, everybody's got a number. You could be like, I would never do that. You know what? For $10 million. Anyone would do
Show
it.
me the money.
I'll put that out there. I'll do it for $10 million.
Cool.
I think most people will do it for $10 million, Glenn. Even all the women out there.
not
they'd be
talking
like,
about
$10 million,
most people.
No,
get it.
like women would have a higher price.
Yeah, maybe I did $1 million. I'd probably do it.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I'll
$1 million
lower it.
you'd shave
I'll
your head.
lower it.
Thanks, Glenn.
I'll
That's
lower it.
great.
Knocking
lower
it
it.
down.
Yeah,
Rob, I lowered it 90%.
cool.
Okay.
So the New York Auto Show was this past week. You were there.
Yes.
Glenn and I walked
we
around.
had,
Jimbo and I walked around.
Lukewarm hot chocolate there together.
Luke with the hot chocolate was good.
I needed it hotter than that.
Nope,
I
sorry.
don't
That was
think,
delicious hot chocolate from
Hot chocolate's supposed to be
Mercedes-Benz.
hot.
I put an ice cube in it.
Yeah.
You had a hot one?
And
Yeah,
then
we
they
had
had them
like-
add
Yeah, I had an
ice
but I put an
cube.
ice
I
cube
was
in
like
it.
the coldest cup of hot chocolate I ever had.
It was like warm milk. It was delicious. I drank 2 of them.
Yeah. Well,
3 of them maybe.
Speaking of that, wasn't the on press day wasn't the food and the service?
Yeah,
a lot
way
worse?
down. I
right,
think
Cadillac last year had like
the
everything you
budgets were down this year.
You know when I had a Cadillac, they had like in a croissant they had like 3 ham and cheese sandwiches. That was it.
Yeah.
And I got there like at 12, so I could get one of the 3 that they had.
You know where you needed to go?
That means it probably wasn't for you. But
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but I was saying, you know where you need to go? The media center. Like, you got there a
that
little
was
bit
downstairs.
late.
Yeah.
I went in, when I was in there, I was editing a video that we put up. A couple days ago. It was the day of the New York Auto Show. But we put this video up, and I see all these people in line in the little back area.
Oh,
and
they
I
had
see-
food back
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
Oh,
They had
man.
some small sandwiches. They had like little basil, mozzarella, and
Oh,
tomato
really?
sandwiches, smoked ham, turkey. Those things went by so quickly.
Wow.
I grabbed like 6 of them. I was like, mine.
And today
But that
he's
was
feeding
good.
us buttered rolls, and he had that on.
I mean, it's 7-Eleven. I mean, what can I
Rob,
say?
do you have any of that
7-Eleven's
food
good.
in the
$1.
media in the press?
I did not have any of the food in the media center. I sort of like picked at like sconces and like I hung out at Mercedes for a minute because they had the most selection.
Yeah.
A couple of cups of coffee, and
There
then
was
I
a lot of
went
coffee.
and I murdered a plate of pasta for dinner. So
But not
That
at
was
the
good
show.
pasta.
no, I had to go
yeah.
out for dinner afterwards. And then the next day I showed up for press day again, but I showed up at like 3:00. And I
Okay.
didn't realize it like sort of ended at
It ends
2:30.
at 4. Oh, it
Yeah,
ends at-
2:30.
oh, okay.
It went till 4, but all like
Ah.
so like it was like really quiet there.
Yeah.
But all the displays were sort of gone. I got to see that espresso Volvo, which was cool. They have the espresso machine in the back.
Yeah, I
of it.
saw it in your video actually.
That was
that
more
there when
impressive
we
than
were
some of the
there?
cars.
Was that there on Wednesday?
I don't know.
I
but
didn't notice
I
that.
didn't look, but you walked past Volvo.
I walked
That's
right
part
past
of being a
Volvo, yeah.
Volvo.
Well, let's talk about cars that we liked at the auto show. You had the new GT3 RS,
GT3 RS,
which is
of course.
PDK. There's no manual, so I did a video on that. Obviously, if you want a manual, you got to get the base GT3.
The base GT3.
Yeah.
You got to
Is there a
slum
base? Well, that one, the GT3 RS, 187,500 is base price. That YSEC package was 18,000.
You're not buying any $187,000 GT3 RSs. I've never seen one. I don't think you'll ever find one that will be
'Cause you're
optioned out at
saying-
no, because the dealer won't do it. They'll sell
Well,
it to somebody
yeah,
who's
totally.
optioning
With
it.
every single option, YSEC package, that had magnesium wheels too, which was a $13,000 option. That car, 266 is every option. That's
Sure.
like with deviated stitching and leather covered.
That's
airbag.
ridiculous.
Isn't it?
That really is crazy. Now, what do those cars depreciate to? I mean, I guess all the Porsches have been kind of different, though, right?
It's going to be interesting. Well, with the RS came out,
Sure.
the last RS, the 991.1, let's call it.
Yep.
Which was PDK only. Originally, they were like way over sticker. They were selling for like $350. I don't know what they were actually getting, but I
Right.
think the cars were in the 220 range probably, and
Okay.
they were asking like 350. Now they've come down into the 200s. I haven't checked recently, but now the base GT3, you get the 4-liter motor, right, and you can get a 6-speed manual. I don't know. I think I would choose that. I'd choose the stick shift. Right? Don't you have a GT3?
I'm a
motor?
stick shift guy,
Yeah, I
but
think you're right.
ultimately, I think a lot of people would go for the
RS?
the PDK is just a better transmission.
Well, it's
when I
definitely
say
faster.
it's a
I guess
faster
I like to be
transmission.
slower, so I like to row my own gears.
Sure.
But
No, I'm the same way, but ultimately, you can't say like it's a better car. The RS or even the PDK is a better transmission. It'll be a faster car, and if you're buying a Porsche GT car, you're generally doing it to have a good track performance car.
right.
So
I
the
mean, on
stick
track
shift
it'd
is
be
for the street
foolproof.
people. Yeah,
Yeah.
the stick shift is for the street people. So like me and you.
Well, a
Like
lot of
most
car-
people, really.
Yeah.
Like most people, but a lot of people want just to say that their car is more capable, so that's why they get stuff that
And more expensive.
No, I don't think it's more expensive. I think the stick shift is the option. Which is the option, or they're both included transmissions?
Wow, that's a good question. I should know the answer. My friend has a 6-speed. I don't remember, to be honest.
Yeah.
What he said. I think, is it a no-cost option? I think the stick shift is free, and the PDK is cost money. That's
Okay.
what I think.
So nice. And the PDK is probably the majority of them, but whatever. I'm happy. I'm
I've
happy
seen a lot.
Porsche came out
I've
with them
seen
again.
one like in stick shift so far.
Speaking of coming out with again, we went out to a party after both days of the press days. I went out, and the second night I met with a bunch of people who worked with Honda Acura in the PR, and like I just like they opened the door. They're talking about the NSX, and I'm like, yo, the NSX just it didn't hit the mark, and I'm like, oh no, very successful.
Yeah, they're
like,
just like,
killing
oh, this is
it.
a great car.
Great, and I'm like, no, not really. Like it's like it. From an enthusiast's perspective, it was not.
They shouldn't have called it the NSX.
That's what I said. Call it the Acura Type 1. It
should have been like the upgrade from the GTR, because the NSX will beat the GT, or base GTR.
Well,
in all the performance.
Well, I could see that. It's also 10 years later, 12 years later.
Right.
The GTR came out in what, 07?
09. Yeah.
And now in 2016, 17, whenever you got the NSX, that's a big time gap.
Yeah, I drove the 18 GTR. I think it was an 18 or a 17, the track version, the track pack, and that was an amazing car.
Sure.
The NSX I think is like an ultimate everyday car.
Sure.
So the GTR track car is an amazing track car, or a more hardcore on the street. Where the the NSX I think could be, it's like a Turbo S competitor, an Audi R8 competitor, like a car that you're going to drive every day.
It is, but not when they're charging $250,000.
No, that's what killed it. It should be 140,000, 130,000.
Yeah.
R8 money. But the lease on it, I have a friend actually that there was like 30,000 over sticker, right? You did a video time to buy with the NSX.
I mean, yeah, they're 30,000 under sticker.
Right. So he leased one for like $1,600 a month or something like that.
Yeah.
Like when it came out, it was like $2,500.
I wouldn't lease a car that expensive. I mean, some people do, because they never give you miles. They give you like
it's 5,000 miles a year.
Yeah, which is nothing.
Yeah.
It's more than you should probably need, but when you're spending thousands of dollars a month, you might as well buy it at that point in time.
Right. At 130, 140, I think it's a great car, but still, it shouldn't be the NSX. They should have called it whatever. If they called it another name, I bet you'd be flying off the shelves. I mean, with that price in mind, not a $220,000.
That's what I said. I told the guys, like, look, the car is a $125,000 car. It's going to be $100. Like, if it was $125 to $160, it would have sold much better. Yeah. That's the price point for the other cars you're competing with, the R8, the Porsche Turbo. But ultimately, if the dealers are marking them up and nobody's buying them, and then they start having to discount them, and you're not letting people spec out base cars, and you want a car, it's going to be $250.
Yeah.
Now you're competing with 458s and Huracans, and I'll tell you what,
no way,
nobody's going to buy an NSX.
No way.
I'm like, Dodge made that mistake with the Viper.
Yeah.
You can't outprice the market, and then sort of under-deliver you. It took you 6 years to get the car to market.
Yep.
And people sort of lost interest. And then you called it an NSX. And everything that people liked about the old NSX, the fact that it was like well-balanced, naturally aspirated.
Stick shift, rear drive.
Stick shift, rear drive, and that
Targa.
that long ass. And
they were like, nope.
Yeah, and
nope.
you got rid of all of that and said, well, this is a good performance car. We're calling it the NSX.
Yeah.
If you look at all these other manufacturers that had success relaunching or reviving flagship cars.
Right.
They all look alike. Like you look at a new Mustang, it looks like an old Mustang.
Exactly.
You look at a new Charger, it looks like an old Charger.
Mustang's a perfect example, right? The
like
retro look.
you're taking even the old Ford GT versus the GT40.
Yep.
I mean, you take these cars.
You can see they're related,
and you could tell just by looking at them. You can't look at these two NSXs and be like, that's both an NSX. I mean, it just doesn't work like that.
You should be able to take a non-car person and ask them what car that is. Like
you should potentially be able to confuse the two.
Yeah.
Like there should be some sort of confusion as to the classic look. And I mean, I'm talking. You could tell one is much newer than the other one, but you can clearly be like, this is
they're related.
Is that you can't look at the new NSX and say, oh yeah, that looks like the old. Like you can't even without the badge, you can't tell they're related.
Yep.
Yeah, like Mopar does that great. Like the Challenger
they
has made a huge comeback.
Like
they brought back all the
Crazy
colors from
and
the 70s,
yeah.
and that's great.
Yep.
And it's like, oh well, we were trying to do other stuff, but now we're just going to make bullet fast cars again.
Yeah.
And now they're I mean, at least it seems like it anywhere. They just have a very good marketing department. It seems like they're doing much better. I mean, maybe I don't know the sales behind it, or maybe they are bankrupt for all I know. But Chrysler seems to be doing a lot better, between the Demon, the Hellcat. I mean, all of these cars are very, very good. And it's funny because I sat in a Demon when we were at the auto show. And I got in there, I'm like, it's a decent interior. It's definitely a newer one. It's not very, like, there's still plastic everywhere. But I don't care about that because the sticker on here says it makes 808 horsepower.
Yeah.
And the car is like 65 or 70 grand, which is not bad for 800 horsepower with a warranty. That's pretty good.
Sure.
Yeah, my friend just got a Demon. I'll have to make a video of that. But I've driven the Hellcat wide body, but every Hellcat I ever get, it's always automatic. I want to drive one.
Yeah, I could see that. Do they? How many were made in stick?
I bet you not many. I bet you it's like the vet. I bet you 80% of them are automatic.
Speaking of not many, my truck is finally getting painted. And I say not many because my truck is a very rare bird, which is a ramp truck, and you don't see too many of those in the car hauling world.
Yeah.
But this truck it had that surface rust from being just exposed to the elements for a couple of months, which it wiped off pretty easily today. But it's primed and ready for paint. I got Createx colors, which provides really good paint. Probably much better than my truck deserves. And we're gonna do Speed Force 1. So it's
Cool.
good that we're finally getting that painted. It really annoyed me every time I looked at it. But
Sweet.
that was one of those things that I didn't like that the truck looked like shit and the rusted bed and everything looked like shit. We're going down to Texas, not this week, but next week to start the $500 truck challenge, as voted by the Patreon people. The LG is building up, Lou Gelati is building up a clone car to send out to the Nürburgring. So we're going to document that process. And then I'm going to ship my vet down there so that they can take care of the cooling issues that I'm currently facing.
Cool.
So all of those are very, very good things, good reasons to go to Texas. And we're going to bang them all out in a week, which is probably the most impressive part of that. So
Sweet. If your car stays cool in Texas, it'll stay cool here.
Well, it's about running hard. It stays cool on the street. Just when you're running hard at the track, I mean, that turbo just cranks the heat. So the fact that we can take care of that would be optimal.
When I used to have my C4 and C5 Z06, I always had cooling problems at the track, and my car was
Really?
Stock. Yeah, I had to put an
Interesting.
aluminum radiator on the C4 vat, and that solved the problem.
Those are not cheap either.
No, I think it was like $1,000.
Yep.
A Grant radiator or something, but that did the trick.
Yeah, when I had the last time I drove my C4, the person who bought my C4 when we drove it at his club ranch, whatever it was, he let me drive it. We hot lapped the crap out of that car, and it didn't care. It didn't. Maybe I just don't know how to.
Well,
drive.
you know what I did?
I don't think I do, but like we definitely drove it hard, and it did not care at all.
What happened was I used to drive Lime Rock a lot, right?
Sure.
So when you go down the hill, a lot of the C4s had oil starvation. So
I think mine had that because I turned like the low oil light would come on like every now on cold starts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I'm glad somebody
Well,
else
here's what
did it.
happened. The problem: I put a baffled oil pan, and then what happened was baffled oil pan was wider. And
Okay.
So it was on the exhaust pipes or the headers or something.
Sure.
I forget where. I think exhaust pipes. So the oil temperature get really hot.
Yeah.
So what do you do when the oil temperature gets really hot? You put in a oil cooler, right? So the oil cooler would be in front of the radiator. And then
Very
what
cool.
happened was the water temperature gets super hot. and
Because
you
you're
switch
blocking the
radiator, right.
airflow. Yep.
So it's a slippery slope. Once you start getting a track car and getting faster lap
Yeah,
times,
yeah.
you do this, it causes this other problem. You solve that problem, it causes another
That's
problem.
what happens when you modify cars.
Yep.
As simple as that.
Yep.
But anyway, I'm going to start wrapping the podcast
You
here.
want to do one more topic?
What?
Just the hell of it.
No.
Why not? Okay. No.
Do you guys want me to do another topic?
Nobody's
Well,
listening.
I don't care because this is live tape, so nobody. we're not having conversations with anyone. I am
live
gonna.
to us.
I am going to wrap it up here, guys. But I want to thank you for subscribing to the Super Speeders podcast channel. I thank those listening on all the various listening services, including iTunes. But these are all obviously going to be available again as audio podcasts as well as video podcasts on the Super Speeders podcast channel. If you guys, again, see Elizabeth White, send proof. We're looking forward to it. Other than that, keep an eye on the podcast every week. We'll be up in, what day is it? The Wednesday?
Today is
No, what day is
Wednesday.
the every
When will it
okay.
drop?
Oh, when will it drop? Excuse me, April 4th.
It drops April 4th, and then every 7 days from there on out.
April 4th is what?
So,
Wednesday.
It will be every Wednesday. So I thank you guys for joining us on the podcast. I thank you guys for listening and watching, for those of you who watched. We will catch you next time. The Super Speeders podcast. I didn't number this one. I don't know if we're going to number it like 55 or something, or we can call it number 1.
I can tell you. Oh, I don't remember. We can look it up. What the last one was.
Yeah, whatever. Cool. Either way, thank you. Thanks to the sponsors, Sheath Underwear and E-Auto Warranty. And we will catch you guys all next time. If you have any things that you want us to bring up in the next podcast, you could always shoot an email over to rob@superspeeders.com. Or if you have any questions or comments about things that we've discussed, throw them in the comments. We get alerted to that, and we can try to answer your questions after the fact. Thank you for watching. Thank these guys for being on here, and we will see you next time.
See you next time.